All right, so before we really dive into OOP, let's review what objects actually are, some basic object manipulations, and what we can do with them. Okay, so on the left, the first bullet says a JavaScript object is just a collection of unordered key-value pairs. What does that mean? Let me paste in an object I just made. Okay, so when you see name, that is called a key right here. Keys must be in strings or be evaluated to strings. So name is the key, and Philip is the value, and values can be any type, right? So key is the name, value is the string Philip. On this one, key is age, value is type number of 33. Now, you see the second bullet says keys must be in strings. These are actually strings, but we don't have to wrap them because JavaScript does that for us underneath the hood. But if we want to, we can wrap them in strings and we will get no errors anyways. All right. Okay, now, instead of using the word key, we can also say properties. So this object has two properties, name and a property, age. All right. Okay, the third bullet says this can only be looped with a for in loop, which we will look at next. Now, that's kind of different from arrays and strings, right? Where you can use a regular for loop or the for of loop. But objects, you can only use for in. And the last bullet says that objects are the building block of JavaScript. Now, JavaScript was designed with object-oriented programming in mind. Therefore, basically everything revolves around objects, and we will prove that once we start to look at prototypes and inheritance. Okay, let's move on to part 2. All right, so we've learned what objects are, what keys mean, what values mean, what key-value pair means, properties. Let's talk about methods. Now, you see I added one more property, but its value is now a function. This makes greet a method. You see how it turns green? So once again, a method is just a function that's attached to an object. Okay, so here we have two properties and one method greet. Okay, object manipulation time. What if we want a list of all of the keys and all of the values in an object? How can we do that? Well, one way we can do that is do the for in loop, for, and then I'm just going to put const key in. We must use the in keyword, object. And then we're just going to console.log key. On the right, you see we get name, age, and greet. Okay. If we console.log obj add key using square brackets, we actually get the values, right? So we get Philip, 33, and the function itself. Is there another way that we can do this? Yep. We can grab what's called the object constructor, which we will learn about later. Object.keys, we do the same thing, and we can pass in our object. Okay. And then let's just console.log this. And then we're also going to console.log object.values. Let's see. All right, so object.keys and values returns an array. For keys, it's listing all the keys. And for values, it's listing all the values. All right, awesome. Now, what happens if we want to check if there's a property or method in some objects? And you would use this in real life when you do like an API call and you just get back a huge object. And you're trying to check if there's a property in it. Okay, how can we do that? The easiest way is just using the in keyword. So if we look over here, we have the property age. So we can just check by string age. Now we have to wrap this in strings because remember all the keys and objects are type string. Age in, and then the object that we want to check. This is true. What about name? Name in obj, true. What about blah, 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 blah? In obj, false. Okay. Another way that we can check is that we can grab the object itself, obj dot, and we're going to use this property, which is called has own property. And this takes in one argument, and it has to be a string, and this is going to check if this object right here has the string property that you're looking for. Let's say age. True. Let's say greet. That's also true. Cool. All right, that's it for now. Let's move on to the next one.